Ken Trahan with Lenny Van Gilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and into Florida. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. The New Orleans Saints are back in action on the road against the Washington Redskins in the nation's capital. And the Saints, of course, coming off of a very bad loss to Tennessee, still very banged up at linebacker. We shall see how that pans out. Facing a team that doesn't allow sacks, a team that's pretty good against the pass, but a mediocre team. So basically, you got two mediocre teams here. Somebody's got to win.
Yeah, mediocre faces mediocre. Someone's going to come out on top. The good news for the Saints is you look at the recent history of the series and the road team wins. Remember the last time the Saints went to Washington in that special 2009 season? You had the crazy play with Robert Meacham.
Stole the ball.
Yeah. And then the late missed field goal. Yeah. Came down, tied the game, won the game in overtime. Again, it was Meacham involved in that, the tying touchdown. So, and of course the last time these two teams met, it was when Washington came here, and that was RG3's debut, and he
40-32
lit things up, and haven't heard much from him since. So it's it's a different Redskins team than what the Saints saw 3 years ago. Certainly now Kirk Cousins at quarterback. Look, I think if you look at anything and you look at what the Saints team does, you got to force turnovers. Mm-hmm. That is when this team is at its best. You could say all the offensive numbers. You can light this thing up like a Christmas tree, whatever, but you have to force turnovers. If they could do that on Sunday, I think they got a great chance to win.
Agreed. Tulane is on the road at West Point to take on Army. They faced a lot of these type of attacks this year, but that's not the problem. Their defense will stand up and they will play well. But their offense, can they score on anyone?
Great question. And I don't know the answer to it because they haven't done it since in basically 7 quarters. They looked great at the start of the Memphis game, couldn't do anything there, did nothing in the rain last week against UConn. You got to get a little bit of something going offensively. You keep the game kind of low scoring, much like they did last week, and maybe you get a chance to steal one on the road against a team you probably match up with pretty well. But again, you got to play assignment football and you got to defend the triple option.
Yeah, largely playing for pride now. And of course, LSU trying to rebound, and they take on Arkansas, a hot team, and a team that scored a bunch of points the last 3 weeks, albeit 2 of those games with overtime wins. Boy, the Razorbacks started the season poorly, but boy, have they come on, and coming off of that incredible high with that miracle win, and it was a miracle win. This is a team that LSU has had trouble with over the years, and they figure to have their hands full again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how both of these teams respond. Arkansas, do you crash off the high after that win at Ole Miss? How does LSU respond? They haven't finished second, as Les Miles would say, yet this year until Saturday at Alabama. How will they respond from the loss to Alabama, and knowing, look, you're 9th right now in the college football playoff rankings. You run the table, you got a chance to get back to 4 and possibly get your way into there. Obviously, at this point, from that perspective, it's single elimination. You've got to run the table, and it starts Saturday. I think Leonard Fournette's going to gain a little more than 31 yards Saturday. He might do that in the first series.
I should think so. The Pelicans' injury woes continue. Anthony Davis missed the game in Atlanta, which they lost. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Omar Ashik comes back, but you lose Davis. It's like, it's a trade basically. Jimmer Fredette's back. They're just looking to fill their bench. Ish Smith has played well recently, but this team just can't get it together. Just too many injuries.
And give them credit. They really played well against the Hawks without Davis. Had a 9-point lead at half. Just couldn't sustain it the second half. They just don't have the numbers to be able to do that right now. You're asking guys to play significant minutes that have no business playing more than 10 and 12 minutes in an NBA game. And you got 2 more games on this road trip. Friday night at Toronto, Sunday afternoon at New York. If Davis can go, then you feel better about your chances in those 2 games. If not, then who knows? And the other, you'll have Drew Holiday back for these 2 games ideally as well.
High school football, the state playoffs getting underway this weekend, and of course we have a couple of games for you. Holy Cross St. Augustine live on live on WHNO, but tape delayed on WHNO Saturday at noon. Live on Sports NOLA Friday night at 7, and then Saturday night we have live on Sports NOLA Jesuit and Shaw. A couple of Catholic League rivalries renewed this time in the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, as we've talked about ad nauseum, that's the unfortunate part about this new setup is you do end up with rematches. The Holy Cross St. Aug game is actually a pretty good game in the regular season, 23-19. We'll see how that plays out Friday night. Jesuit handled Shaw pretty well, but again, second time around, is there an advantage to the team that didn't win? Perhaps, this is the kind of game that you see the low seeds beating the high seeds. Perhaps we'll see how it plays out come this weekend, and there's so many games to keep up with. By the way, check out our full video preview here at sportsnola.com on the entire state football playoffs.
Indeed, of course, the original Friday night. Follow along on WGSO 990 AM with our scoreboard at sportsnola.com. Best of the lot. You won't miss anything if you do so, and we look forward to that, too. And, of course, the state volleyball championships at the Pontchartrain Center being decided on Friday. You can follow sportsnola.com for information there as well. I think we covered it.
I think we covered it. What did we? Oh, one other thing we didn't cover. I'm sorry. College basketball season starts Friday night. You got Tulane getting underway, UNO getting underway, and a lot of anticipation at LSU with what was likely the only season of Ben Simmons there. But still, they get underway Friday night against McNeese. Be a lot of hype around that team this year.
Lenny, thanks. Have a great weekend.
All right, we'll see you Monday.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and into Florida. That is First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. He's Lenny. I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.